Hello and welcome Universe Mode. This is a really late episode of Raw, but we don't need to worry because in terms of everything, it's 24 hours after Payback, so it's all good. Anyway, we are now, in terms of Monday Night Raw, on the way to No Way Out. Just like with ECW, Payback is in the books, the first pay-per-view for the Raw General Manager Constable Dredge in the books, and what an evening it was of action at Payback. We continue on here though. No titles changing hands last night, and now we see how things continue on here tonight. Should be a very interesting night of action, to be fair. We are going to start the night and end the night, though, by hearing from people talking. We will be hearing, to start off this evening, from the Raw General Manager Constable Dredge, perhaps reflecting on how Payback went, and maybe some thoughts and opinions he had coming out of it. Of course, if you remember rightly, I said after Payback there was one very pressing matter that needed to be, taken care of. I think you know what I'm on about when it comes to it, but I'll let Constable Dredge talk about that to start off this evening, and then to close out this evening, we will once again be getting a villain celebration. Oh, it is not going to be an enjoyable night for people who aren't a fan of Marty Scurll, because Scurll, after his victory over Daniel Bryan, once again wants to rub it in the face of everyone who can listen to him. We'll see how that one will go to finish off this evening, but let's start off this evening by hearing from none other than Constable Dredge. Let's do it. Well, there he is. The unit is on Monday Night Raw. Constable Dredge, essentially a neutral to everything. He hasn't had a he hasn't said anything that he wants to get himself involved with, and he hasn't wanted to pick a side on anything, but he is here tonight nevertheless to talk about how Payback went, and we'll see what it's going to be like. This is, what, the third time I think we've heard from Dredge since he made his debut as Raw General Manager. He's done a fine job so far, I will say that. And he is going to talk about, he is talking about Payback right away, and he said he enjoyed the event of Payback. I'll agree with him on that one. But he is going to talk about that very controversial thing regarding Lars Sullivan, which we'll get into in just a little bit. And I think that is very important to be tackled, to be fair, because I think that was perhaps the biggest talking point coming out of Payback. But he wants to talk about the star that was Curtis Axel. He believes that there was potential in Axel despite his loss last night at Payback, and he wants to show him. He wants to see if Axel can show Dredge that by taking on a man of his skill set, Captain Charisma and Christian. I guess Dredge doesn't want to fire that man, who he said if he lost last night he would be sacked. Obviously, though, it is time to talk about the US title. Lars Sullivan is once again the United States champion, but Dredge doesn't see that happening for much longer, for tonight's main event will be Lars Sullivan defending the title against Cesaro. And with that being said, running down the rest of the card for us here tonight, American Alpha taking on Heavy Machinery. The winner takes on Magnum Opus the week later. We have Asuka taking on AJ Lee. And of course, Marty Scurll coming out to talk about his victory at the end of the evening. That ends it though for what Constable Dredge has to say. And he has taken his actions against it. It seems as if despite everything he tried, he is accepting of what Lars Sullivan did. The decision from last night stands. Lars Sullivan is the United States champion. But for how much longer, as Constable Dredge said, will he be for? Tonight's main event, Sullivan versus Cesaro for the US title. Woohoo, that's a big one. Well, that should be a very interesting night of action here on Monday Night Raw, but let's get things underway with Curtis Axel against Christian. As the Raw General Manager said, he saw something in Curtis Axel last night, which I guess only he saw? Because, I mean, if you watched the event, Axel really didn't do anything. He kind of got beat a lot by Cesaro, but I guess if that's what the Raw General Manager believes in, then that's what is going to happen. I mean, sure. Nevertheless, Curtis Axel with another opportunity here tonight to prove himself. One-on-one against Christian, which should be interesting. Both these guys, of course, have done nothing of note for the longest time on Monday Night Raw. And now we see what Curtis Axel can do going one-on-one against, as Constable Dredge said, a man of his skill set. Both guys kind of do have the same track record in terms of titles held. Both are a former secondary champion. Christian is the Intercontinental Champion. Axel was a former ECW Television Champion, if I remember correctly. Axel and Christian are both former ECW Tag Team Champions. So, certainly got some belts. Axel is a former 3-time ECW Champion as well. So he's most certainly got a record going for him. As Christian enters the ring now, and the match can get underway here on Monday Night Raw. We have begun here, and a great, oh wow, hip toss there from Axel to start things off. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I don't have the eye for talent like Constable Dredge has, which I completely and utterly don't agree with, but you know, sure. Oh, what an uppercut though from Christian there on Axel. Christian, a former Intercontinental and United States Champion. I should have prefixed to get across. I feel like Curtis Axel 100% was a former television champion, but I'm not 100% certain on what I believe today. Not 100% certain if I'm right. Back suplex though by Christian as this one gets underway now. Curtis Axel has to be counting his lucky stars because he was supposed to be off the Monday Night Raw roster if he couldn't win last night. He didn't, but he's been given another opportunity to prove himself here. Cover made by Christian. Great counter by Axel. Flips back over. Kick out immediately from Christian there. Christian catches the leg and dragon screw for Axel to endure. Gotta give Dredge a little bit of credit here, though. Despite all that happened last night, you know, with the incredible match between Tanahashi and Triple H, the main event that happened, you know, the Lars Sullivan ordeal. Still focusing on the smaller talents of Monday Night Raw, the guys who kind of make up the numbers, and certainly, you know, maybe don't get the eyes on them that maybe they deserve. It is very nice to see these kind of opportunities being given out. Axel now smashing the head of Christian again and again and again into the mat. Goes into the quick cover here on Captain Charisma, trying to do his best to get the win here. Not going to get it, though, with Christian kicking out that early. Christian now. Down on his back. Axel calling him up to his feet from the second rope. Let's see how this one goes. Uppercut. Christian evaded. And now ducks under and hits him there. Goes into the cover. Wow, you can see the urgency from Curtis Axel there. How quickly he decided to kick out. Christian, though, feeling pretty good about himself. Reverse DDT from Captain Charisma, and things aren't looking too good right now for Curtis Axel. Laid out in the middle of the ring. Christian went for a splash there, but missed it. And Axel will take the advantage right away. Suplex from Axel now. He's really trying to prove that the Raw General Manager chose right in giving him this opportunity. Went for the snapmare. Christian countered. Christian hits him in the face. And Christian in. Kill switch from Christian. Covers Axel. Will this do it? There's 2. There's 3. Christian, your winner. Here to kick things off on this episode of Raw. Well, I mean, he certainly tried. Axel tried, but in the end, a man of his similar talents beat him. So you have to beg the question. You have to ask, what the hell is next for Curtis Axel? He looked alright. He looked better than he did last night, but still, he didn't do anything big. He didn't do anything that I can remember already. And Christian just kind of beat him. There wasn't much to it. Christian just won, and that was that. So I'm not too sure what the Raw General Manager is going to decide about it, but he definitely needs to do something about it because he sees potential in Curtis Axel. Well, it's either a case of Axel needs motivation to unlock it, or Axel simply doesn't have it. One or the other, really. Nevertheless, let's move on to our next contest. Of course, Dredge announced the entire card earlier, and we're going to move on to the next one now. It's going to be Heavy Machinery taking on American Alpha, where the winning team takes on Magnum Opus next week. A little bit of an interesting ordeal, but let's get into it. And so, this one could be very interesting indeed. I think these are two very talented teams before we get into this matchup, before I start talking about things. These are two very, very talented teams. Heavy Machinery have been proving their worth bit by bit, and it's kind of this idea of the guys getting a chance under Constable, Dredge, who were handed opportunities by Dario Ronaldo, there's no doubt about it, but they weren't given as many opportunities as what Constable Dredge had given them. Heavy Machinery was brought up under Dario Ronaldo, but they've really started to excel under Constable Dredge. They had a number 1 contenders match, was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago on Raw, which of course they lost to Magnum Opus. But they have a win under under their belt over Magnum Opus already. They got a great chance here against American Alpha. There's a lot of things turning for Heavy Machinery that is pointing in the right direction. And I've got to say it. These things are looking good for them, but things are also looking really good for their opponents since their arrival to Monday Night Raw. The only problem they've had is Chad Gable losing a one-on-one match against Roman Reigns, which in the tag team division is no problem at all when you think about it. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. So things are fine there for American Alpha. And what I found interesting about what Dredge said is the fact that the winners take on Magnum Opus next week in a number 1 contenders match. What I want to wonder, and what I want to kind of know is, why did Magnum Opus... What did Magnum Opus do last night at Payback to deserve an automatic number 1 contenders match? Is my question. I think there are better teams on Monday Night Raw. Obviously, you look at the Good Brothers, Straight Face Killers. Those are just 2 I'm thinking of off the top of my head. TM61, maybe a team who could have been given that opportunity. But instead, it goes to Magnum Opus again. And I'm starting to question why. Because there's no other way of saying it. Last night at Payback, Magnum Opus were destroyed. They were handily beaten by the Revival. And so I'm wondering... And so I'm left wondering why Magnum Opus have another opportunity in front of them. Maybe there's something I'm not reading into, but what I can say, of course, is if American Alpha win here tonight, and then go on to beat Magnum Opus next week, they'll get a second shot at the Revival, which should be very interesting as well. Of course, they took them on for the tag team titles just before SummerSlam in a fantastic main event back then, with neither team refusing to give in, but one that eventually ended with the Revival, of course, winning, walking out with the title still. They have been strong tag team champions thus far, but the tag team division is starting to pick up a lot of pace, which is a very interesting difference to what we saw at the start of the year when the Raw tag team division felt fairly weak and felt like it was a 2-horse race all the way. Now things are turning around, and Monday Night Raw has a very strong tag division going on, and these are 2 of the teams showcasing that. Otis Dozovich, by the way, coming in off the tag there and showing great attitude there towards Jason Jordan. I have said this on a lot of occasions. I don't know what it is about Otis Dozovich, but there's just something about the way in which he performs in this ring that makes me gravitate towards him. I find myself a fan of Dozovich more than I do of Tucker Knight, and I'm not too certain what it is at all. It's kind of like the War Machine scenario on SmackDown Live. I find myself a fan of Hanson more than what I do Raymond Rowe. There's nothing like negative meant about that. I just prefer one over the other. You know, maybe the same could be said for American Alpha, but I think both guys are so incredibly talented and they work as a perfect tag team. Nevertheless, though, Chad Gable now in the ring with Otis Dozovich, doing a great job thus far of keeping Dozovich down, making sure that he doesn't get too much going for him, and trying to limit the expense that... Oh, my God! Jesus! What a discus forearm by Dozovich there. Covers Chad Gable. Gets a 2 count there, and may have broken Chad Gable's jaw in the process, and kicking him in the gut now. Dozovich has control over Gable here in the corner of American Alpha, and this is Hoss. This is true Hoss attitude right now. From Otis Dozovich, stakes and weights is the motto of Heavy Machinery, and it is shining through in its absolute peak right now. My goodness, look at the way that Otis Dozovich just controls Chad Gable in the corner of American Alpha, no less. Oh, what was that? Just kind of like a belly-to-belly slam into the mat. Jason Jordan not getting involved. I'll give him respect for that. But Chad Gable right now just getting decimated. Kicked about here by Otis Dozovich. Dozovic looks for a slam. Gable able to use his speed there to evade it. And great strength executed as well from Gable as he comes in there. But Gable looked for something, misjudged it. Hit hard, but the tag is made. Jason Jordan coming in off the tag now. Otis Dozovic, I don't think is any the wiser that Jason Jordan's legal in this one. Both men, though, swinging at each other. Drop kick, counter by Dozovic. Strike in the gut, counter by Jordan. Lariat, and up and over the top rope goes Dozovic to the outside. American Alpha have made a good set of tags back and forth in this one so far. Can't really be said for Heavy Machinery. It feels as if it's been a lot more of Otis Dozovic in this match than it has been to Tucker Knight, and it's starting to show its ugly head right now as Otis Dozovic is in a lot of trouble here. Jason Jordan coming in off the tag and making an emphatic break. Sent into the turnbuckle though by Dozovic as Gable recovers on the outside. 2-on-1 advantage for Heavy Machinery right now. Great shoulder tackle as well, hit. And Otis Dozovic in now. This time going to send Jordan into the turnbuckle and perhaps trying to gear up Tucker Knight for something here. Could we see the compactor on its way from Heavy Machinery? We are going to see it. Heavy Machinery compactor. And could this be enough to finish off Jason Jordan here? Gable in off the tag, but Jordan able to kick out. Give him credit there. Jason Jordan showing great versatility to kick out. Chad Gable trying to slam down Tucker Knight there. Didn't pay out the way he wanted it to. Victim of a belly to belly. No, Gable counters it. And respect to Gable for just wanting to get out of the ring here and let the match continue on as normal. Gable didn't even make the save is what I find interesting. Gable just kind of watched on as Jason Jordan thankfully kicked out at 2. But look at this now. Tucker Knight full head of steam out off the tag. And he wants to take care of business now. Irish whip into the opposite turnbuckle there for Jason Jordan. Uh-oh, this doesn't look good. Tucker Knight forcing his whole body weight there with that running splash on a Jason Jordan. No doubt about it, that is a heavy, heavy impact to take from one member of Heavy Machinery. Another cover on Jordan here, and he's able to force his way out. And great job there by Jason Jordan, able to evade that there, slip his way out of it. Can he keep on going right now? Running shoulder tackle in the corner. Jason Jordan fired up here. And trying to get things going for American Alpha. Stopped again, though. Tucker Knight sends him over the top rope. Oh, look at the pure strength. And a clubbing blow in the back as well. Oh, that just felt rough. Tag could be made here back into Otis Dozovic. We could be looking at the compactor once more. Indeed we are, but the roles are reversed. Heavy Machinery hit the compactor. Chad Gable hits the ring, trying to make the save right away. And this time, Gable does make the save before the count could even be made. No, but Heavy Machinery have a firm grip on this match right now. Jason Jordan needs to make the tag into Chad Gable and needs to do something to try and end this one right away. Otis Dozovic back in here. What can Jason Jordan do as he's back up on his feet? Sends him into the ring, into the corner, sorry. Tag made. American Alpha. Grand amplitude to Otis Dozovic. Tucker Knight hit with the lariat. And oh, he kicks out at 2. Kicks out at 2. Does Otis Dozovic, Tucker Knight sent out of the ring. Gable in now. Straight jacket. German suplex. Incredible strike by Gable. And it puts away Otis Dozovic. American Alpha win. And next week they face Magnum Opus for the right to be the #1 contenders. What a thrilling contest and a thrilling comeback from American Alpha. And no. Magnum Opus again. It was only last week they assaulted the tag team champions, and now tonight they're assaulting American Alpha. Magnum Opus have a mean streak going for them when it comes to blindsiding their opponents, and they did it again with American Alpha. Well, here we go on this evening with Magnum Opus sending another message to their opponents for next week. I mean, fair play to them for trying to prove their point, but I'm still questionable on it. As to how they, as to what they've done to deserve to be in this opportunity that they are in. But nevertheless, here they are. There they are, attacking American Alpha. I mean, this is, I guess, what Constable Dredge wants to see out of Magnum Opus. It's why he's giving them so many opportunities. And, hey, if they let him down, they let him down. It's not my problem. I'm the general manager of ECW. I'm busy out here celebrating 400 days of Seth Rollins' reign, in all honesty. Not really concerned about Magnum Opus problems. Not really my thing. Anyway, we're going to move on to our next contest here. A SummerSlam rematch on its way. AJ Lee against Asuka. AJ Lee just 24 hours removed from that thrilling contest against Rosemary. If you want to talk about just a straight wrestling match that we had last night at Payback, I mean, maybe you could say that Daniel Bryan versus Marty Scurll was the match of the night in that regard, but you've got to say, if that's the case, then the sleeper hit was AJ Lee versus Rosemary. AJ Lee putting everything on the line to try and beat Rosemary. She gave it her all, but in the end, it only took one red wedding, and she stayed down. Asuka looking to get revenge for SummerSlam. Looking to prove that she was the one who deserved to win that tournament and deserved to face Rosemary last night for the title. I imagine is going through the mind of the Empress. These two women, there is a little bit of bad blood in the air between them, has to be said in terms of the match, but you remember back to SummerSlam as well, once AJ Lee beat Asuka, AJ Lee shook her hand and raised her arm as the winner. So did I say AJ Lee raised her arm? I meant Asuka raised her arm. In case I got that one wrong, I'm not too certain, I may have messed that one up. Nevertheless, they are squaring off here tonight, one-on-one. The two most, who aren't champions, the two most prevalent women in the division, outside of Rosemary. And certainly has gone to show Constable Dredge also doing a good job of looking at the women's division. We've seen opportunities being handed out. We've seen Alexa Bliss, Emma getting some opportunities, but it comes back to these two women, and the SummerSlam rematch shall begin. Colin Elbow tie it between these two women. I wonder how Rosemary, how much of a job did Rosemary do on AJ Lee? How is AJ Lee feeling? How hurt is she after last night? Because she's only had 24 hours to rest, and she got beaten up a lot in that one. How much does that play into the advantage for Asuka? What is the reality that she only needs one Asuka lock to finish the job? And right now, things are looking good for Asuka as well, as she's out wrestling AJ Lee here. Side headlock, countered by AJ Lee. Goes into a side headlock of her own. Can Asuka force her way out of this? No, now the arm locked in there by AJ Lee. Asuka able to force her way out of it. Deadlock there between the two. Nice spinning kick in the gut there, very quickly executed. Yanking on the hair as well and forcing her down to the mat. Asuka, though, not going to stay down for too long. She realizes the opportunity in front of her, and she's capitalizing on it. Great knee in the face there, forearmer. Back, spinning back fist as well. And look at these strikes now coming out from Asuka. Big kicks in the chest, over and over again, and then one right in the head. Equivalent to the yes kicks from Daniel Bryan. Man who was very, very unfortunate to not walk out with the World Heavyweight Championship last night. And we're all going to be unfortunate to be hearing from the villain at the end of this show. German suplex there from Asuka now, and you can kind of see the effects that Rosemary had on AJ Lee. Slow to get up to her feet there after that German suplex. Not showing a whole lot of fight right now. Tiger suplex, but AJ Lee kicking out early. Give her credit. 24 hours after a tough matchup, she is still trying to fight here. What a spinning kick there from Asuka, though. Leaping spinning kick right in the face. Took a little while for the referee to go into the cover, though. But nevertheless, we continue on right now. AJ Lee fighting back here. Good strike. Neck breaker maybe. Yes! And floats over into the cover. Nope. No cover after it. Asuka's leg definitely in the ropes there. I'll agree with the referee on that call. Great bit of work there from AJ Lee. Perhaps she's going for these simpler moves like the neck breaker and the DDT because she knows she's hurt. She knows how banged up she is. She knows what kind of effect that match had on her. Look at that, though. Look at how well executed that Falcon Arrow was there by Asuka, using the ropes as leverage in order to pull that one off. Elbow in the knee there by AJ Lee. By AJ Lee. Counter by Asuka, though. Back and forth counters from both women. Very well pulled off. So far, Asuka been proving her worth to AJ Lee, but how much of that has to do with what AJ Lee sustained last night? How much of that has to do with AJ Lee perhaps not feeling the best? Perhaps still feeling pretty banged up. Great backstabber, though, from AJ Lee. Didn't win the tournament at the SummerSlam for nothing. Despite what happened last night, AJ Lee still in the talking points as one of the top contenders in the Raw Women's division. Look at the strength now to put Asuka up on her shoulders and to put her down on the top rope as well. That is going to hurt Asuka. Perhaps even make it difficult for Asuka to breathe. AJ Lee ducks under, spear kick in the face there. Spinning heel kick to Asuka, and the Empress is down. And look at that now from AJ Lee. Right down on the knee. This was the very move Rosemary hit on her last night. And she does it now to Asuka. Forearm in the face. AJ Lee hoping for something. Counter by Asuka. And Asuka gonna bring her in here. One little mistake and it'll prove costly. Asuka stitching in the Asuka lock on AJ Lee now. Nowhere for her to go. Nowhere for her to turn. And no ropes to save her. AJ Lee taps out to the Asuka lock. And Asuka gets her retribution for SummerSlam. AJ Lee, hurt or not, did not have the ability to fight on there and could not prevent Asuka from picking up the win. Job well and truly done for Asuka. There is your winner, and look at this, returning the favor by AJ Lee to Asuka. Asuka did it at SummerSlam. AJ Lee does it tonight, raising the arm of the winner. Fair play to both women there. And fair play to AJ Lee, still choosing to fight no matter what happened last night, albeit on the losing end of things. So now we ask the question, is Rosemary ready for Asuka? Because if you ask me, I think Asuka's lining up next for that title opportunity. Be it just before No Way Out, be it at No Way Out, be it just after No Way Out. Don't really have the answer right now. But what I can definitively say is that Asuka and Rosemary, if that match happens, I'm ready. Speaking of ready, I am ready for the main event of the evening. I know, it's only our fourth match, but it is the main event of the evening nonetheless, and what a match it is going to be. The United States Championship on the line, as announced by Constable Dredge earlier on in the evening. The Swiss Superman Cesaro made his debut on Monday Night Raw last night at Payback, and now has the chance to be the United States Champion. All he has to do is beat Lars Sullivan, a man who last night single-handedly tore apart two men to get back that US title. Sullivan's back on Monday Night Raw. He's the United States Champion again. And this time, is there anyone stopping the Freak? We'll find out. US title main event up next. Alright then, let us do this. What a main event. What a fight this is going to be. And what a chance this is for this man, Cesaro. It was one hell of a show up, I gotta say, last night at Payback to see Cesaro. It was only a month ago he was fighting Velveteen Dream at TakeOver Brooklyn, and now here he is, vying for the chance to be the United States Champion. Cesaro reinvented himself really on NXT, returned back to that Swiss Superman stance, and became the guy that we knew him once to be. Became that incredibly tough fighter. His matches, you know, he was there for 2 takeovers and he was on both takeovers. Yes, he lost at them both, but one was to Velveteen Dream, a rising star in this universe right now, and the other was to Corin, the former NXT champion. Those are 2 very tough opponents to face, and on both occasions, he did his very best to not give in, especially against Corin. Showed his worth, showed how he can fight. And I'm not too certain if, Constable Dredge picked up on that before he picked up Cesaro from NXT. I would assume he did, but nevertheless, it was a great acquisition, and it kind of went to show the little bits that NXT can do for these guys. I mean, Dean Ambrose back on SmackDown Live, Cesaro back on Monday Night Raw, but sadly, that is all in vain, because this man is back as the United States Champion. Lars Sullivan has returned to being the champion. I don't know how this has been allowed to happen. I am being brutally honest with this. I think this is a bad decision by the Raw GM to let Sullivan just waltz around once again. This man was fired and stripped of his belt. And here he is in the main event of Monday Night Raw as the United States champion. How do you let something like that happen? I just don't get it. And we saw what Sullivan did last night. If you watched Payback, we saw the pictures at the start of this evening. Brutal from Sullivan. Chokeslamming Goto onto a windshield. A windscreen, whatever you'd prefer to call it. And then destroying Ono in the ring, putting him away in minutes. Not even minutes, maybe a minute to become the US champion once again. We don't have an update right now on Goto's condition. Hoping to hear back, hoping the Constable Dredge will let us know about something soon. If it's, it's been 24 hours right now and there's no update on Goto, you can assume it was bad, and it most certainly was a heavy impact that he took. So we'll see how that'll go. We'll see how things are later on this evening. Sorry, not later on this evening. Hopefully by next week, because it was an awful thing for Hiroki Goto to go through, and I think the entire roster Monday Night Raw felt it as well, with Lars Sullivan once again the US champion. But will Cesaro be the man to stop him here? In the mind of Constable Dredge, as he said earlier on this evening, he doesn't see this lasting long. He has faith in Cesaro, but look at where else he's put his faith. Curtis Axel and Magnum Opus. And look how they're turning out. I'm not trying to say Cesaro is anything like Axel or Magnum Opus. Oh, no. But what I am saying is that the people who Constable Dredge has put his faith in have not turned out to do him good. And could Cesaro be another one of those? Say what you will, though, about Lars Sullivan, and I have said plenty. He is one hell of a fighter. He is incredibly tough. And there is a reason why it won't be easy for Cesaro to beat him here tonight. But what a great stuff from Cesaro. They're exploding out of the blocks with that spinning European uppercut. But Sullivan responding with a headbutt, as if to say, didn't feel it. And this match is underway between these two now for the US title. What a main event this is to be given away right here. Sullivan, down on the ribs there of Cesaro. That was brutal. Look at how easily as well he just forces him up. Gripping onto his head to hit there. Cesaro, though, evades. And now the Swiss Superman looking to start going here. Good strikes there on Lars Sullivan, sorry. Great suplex as well. Incredible cover. And what an uppercut to drill him with as well. Cesaro starting to turn things around right now. Starting to look pretty good, but again, stopped in his tracks there by Lars Sullivan. Swats away the attempted hit, though. Belly to belly. No. Sullivan able to counter it. You got to ask the question, in the time that Sullivan's been gone, he was able to orchestrate that attack at Payback. And it was a very intricately planned, very well thought out plan from Lars Sullivan. So it makes you think, since he did what he did at SummerSlam to Doro Ronaldo, how much has changed within Lars Sullivan? Has he become this genius, this freak, this genius, this freak with an incredibly smart mindset and everything? Or when the bell rings, is it back to the same brain dead Lars Sullivan who can just tear people apart? What an uppercut, though, from Cesaro in the corner. He's really coming out with big hits in this one. He really wants to be the United States champion. Straight jacket powerbomb incoming. No! Transitions it into a buckle bomb. Great move from Cesaro, turning Sullivan over, quickly covering him, hoping it'll be enough for the US title. And Sullivan, man, kicking out at the count of one. What does that do to a confidence? What does that do to someone's confidence when they see a guy like Lars Sullivan kicking out that early and forcing his way out of a move that early as well? Heavy impact into the ribs once again, and Sullivan hoisting up Cesaro with ease. Incoming power slam to go with it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Top rope. Sullivan on the top rope. This ain't good. Diving headbutt. Cesaro evaded it. Cesaro able to evade it. And now look at this from the Swiss Superman. Strikes into the ribs. Look at how many, though, it took for Sullivan to go down. Oh, my goodness. This guy truly lives up to the accolade of being a freak. Irish whip now from Sullivan, sending Cesaro into the turnbuckle. He has to do so much to keep on fighting in this one, does Cesaro. It's not like this is an easy bout for him at all. The amount of fighting he's having to do right now to just hang in there with this guy. Sullivan proving incredibly difficult right now, but Cesaro keeps on fighting. Springboard European uppercut. Another cover here, trying to become the US champ, but it's a kick out right away. Cesaro, of course, a Triple Crown champion within this universe, but how much does he have in the tank to be able to try and stop a guy like Lars Sullivan? Cesaro gonna risk it here. Top rope. Oh, big lariat there. Down onto Lars Sullivan, but oh my goodness. Gorilla press. Gutbuster. Taking a little while to get back up to his feet. And another cover in this one. Trying to do his best to put Sullivan away. And the Freak once again kicking out. God, how much do you have to do? For real. How much do you have to do to put this man away? Cesaro certainly finding that out right about now. And he's going to test it. Here we go. Sharpshooter applied by Cesaro. The ropes are in front of Lars Sullivan. But his US title could be slipping away from him. Cesaro keeping himself locked in position. Stopping Lars Sullivan from getting to the ropes here. Can he force the Freak to tap out? Can he force the Freak to lose his US title, which he only won last night? No, it doesn't seem so. Sullivan able to get out of it. Oh, man, what a fight this is turning into now. Hard shot from... Oh, no. No, 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 no. No, Sullivan. Freak accident. Cover on Cesaro for the title. And Cesaro kicks out at 2. Oh my goodness, I thought that was going to be it for a moment there. It looked certain that it was over. But Cesaro finds a way, and now Sullivan trying to take away the arm that Cesaro uses for his uppercuts. And if not, he's just going to take out Cesaro himself, holding him up on his shoulders with ease right now. But Sullivan took way too long to plan out anything there, and that's why Cesaro was able to counter him. And look at this now. Crowd on their feet for Cesaro. Trying to hope for something. Gets sent into the turnbuckle, though, by Sullivan. Big boot Sullivan in the face, though. The Freak doesn't go down and sends him into the turnbuckle again. Oh, no. Oh, no, this is looking bad. This is looking bad. Holding him, just throwing him off the top turnbuckle. Oh, what a rough landing for Cesaro. Sullivan into the cover, into the counter, can still only get a 1 count. Cesaro fighting back here. Well, maybe not fighting back, maybe that was not the best term that I could have used, but he is trying to get himself back in this one. Look at this now, though, from Sullivan. Cesaro trying to do his best to cover up, but when you've got Lars Sullivan just inflicting punishment like that down on you, how can you find yourself to getting out of it? But look at the strength again there. I don't know how this guy does it, but he keeps on going. Right into the chest there with that uppercut. Covers Sullivan again. Will this end it? New US champion? No. Oh my goodness. Just how? Just how? Look for a strike there. Sullivan able to counter and respond with one hell of a strike himself. Cesaro able to counter with an uppercut though. And he's going to send Lars Sullivan into the turnbuckle. And he's going to perch him up on the top turnbuckle as well. Get ready to wince because a huge risky move is on its way. Cesaro sacrificing it all. What in the world? Gut-wrench suplex from the top rope. Pound for pound, one of the toughest men out there, and maybe United States champion. No! Again, Sullivan forces the break at 2. Oh my God, what a main event this is. Deadlift, gut wrench, suplex again from Cesaro. But he still just doesn't have enough to end this right now. There is still just that little bit lacking to put away this man. Can he find it in him? I don't know, because Sullivan cannons him again. And Sullivan's going to slam him down onto his back. Oh, down to his knee there, rather. Covers him once more for the title. Forces his way out early. Oh, look at that again. That nerve grip applied. If he did it on the other shoulder, Cesaro would be screaming out in agony. Sullivan lifting him up. Oh, this is not where you want to be again. Oh, no, he's going to turn him round here. Sullivan has something big in mind. And that is how far Cesaro's going to fly across the ring. Trying to stay up on his feet there. Credit to him. But that was one rough impact. Is he going to do it again here? Well, he was going to try, but Cesaro did his best to stop him. And now in the turnbuckle, Cesaro looking to hit big. Snake Eyes, got Sullivan with it, but the Freak doesn't go off his feet. Oh, but Cesaro does go over the top rope there. And able to counter once again, but you can see the fatigue of Cesaro there setting in. He tried to force himself to go to the top rope, and he just didn't have it in him. And now from behind, grabbing on the head there, squeezing the head and the skull of Cesaro. Oh, both men are down. Sullivan, though, geez, the way he leapt into that cover there, covers Cesaro, who again forces his way out, and there's a cut now. There is a cut on the head of Cesaro, but that might not be all his worries, because this could be over. Freak accident! Cover on Cesaro. Lars Sullivan retains the United States Championship. The Freak does it in the main event of Monday Night Raw. And look at the smugness in him. There he is. Still your US champion. Cesaro tried. He gave everything he had, but Sullivan is just, well, he like I said, he lives up to the term Freak. Constable Dredge put a lot of faith in Cesaro, and there were times in that match where I thought Cesaro was going to win, but Sullivan does it again. And he's playing Jeopardy right now on what Constable Dredge wants. He wants a United States champion he can be proud of. And that ain't Lars Sullivan. That's for certain. Sullivan retains in the main event in terms of matches, but it is time to move on to speaking of champions that you can't really be proud of. Coming up next, we are going to be having, once again, the celebration of the villain. Make no mistake about it, Marty Scurll wants to do his damnedest to rub in the victory he had over Daniel Bryan, and that is exactly what we are going to get up next. To close out this evening, it is time to hear from the villain. Strap yourselves in, because this is going to be a cringy one. Let's do it. Oh, here he is. Oh, there, well. Still your World Heavyweight Champion. The longest reigning World Champion in the history of this universe. World Heavyweight Champion, rather, should I say. And he keeps his reign going following his victory last night, which is a shame, all things considered. Nevertheless, Marty Scurll is ready to deliver an important message, I imagine. It's not going to be that. It's going to be frustrating. And it's going to be annoying. And, yep, here we go. Immediately, Scurll wants to get across the point that he is the World Heavyweight Champion still. Once again, everyone thought Scurll was screwed. Once again, he's the World Champion. Everyone puts their faith in the wrong person. Everyone bets against Marty Scurll. Have they learnt nothing? It's been almost half a year. And in Marty Scurll's eyes, it's been a glamorous half a year at that. There is no one who has been able to stop Marty Scurll, Adam Cole, Jinder Mahal, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Cassius Ohno. No one can match Marty Scurll. Not even the GM can prevent Scurll. And it's because of what Marty Scurll does that makes Raw such a great place to be on. How there is no one who can ever stop Scurll doing what he wants. Scurll controls this place. He said before that Scurll runs Raw, and he believes it. There is no one who can stop Scurll. And in closing for Marty Scurll, he wants everyone to get across the point that the villain's reign continues going. Call it tyranny, call it whatever you want. There is no knight in shining armor. There is no vigilante to save you. There is no one to stop this. Long live the villain. Oh, are you so certain about that, Marty Scurll? Are you so certain that there's no vigilante to stop you? Because there's one right in the ring. Sting is back. Sting is back. Sting has splashed the Scurll. Oh my goodness. Someone answered the call. Someone answered the call. And they have replied in the strongest way possible. Scorpion Death Drop the Scurll. The world champion goes down. Sting stands tall. He is back, and he has gone right for the world champion. Thank you, Sting.